This is where the flood legends of nearly every culture on Earth become scientifically interesting. In the 1990s, two geologists from Columbia University, named William Ryan and Walter Pittman, were drilling sediment cores from the floor of the Black Sea when they found something that stopped them. Their research was based on samples from the Black Sea's floor, which showed a sharp transition from freshwater species to marine species around 7,500 years ago, suggesting a sudden influx of salt water. What they were looking at was the moment the Mediterranean Sea broke through the land barrier at the Bosphorus Strait and poured into what had been a smaller freshwater lake. The scientists found only a 40-year difference between the mollusks in the deepest layers and the ones in the shallowest. The date was 5,600 years before the Common Era, within the era of modern human history. This was not a slow geological process. This was a catastrophe, an enormous volume of salt water rushing in, the shoreline retreating inland by miles within a human lifetime, farmland and settlements swallowed. The timing of the Black Sea flood coincides with known patterns of human migration out of the region and into Europe, Asia, and Africa. Archaeologists had already known that at roughly the time of this flood, new people and new customs suddenly appeared in places as far apart as Egypt and the foothills of the Himalayas, Prague, and Paris. Ryan and Pittman proposed something straightforward. The people who survived the Black Sea flood scattered, carrying with them the trauma and the story of what they had seen. The same event, witnessed by different groups, became the foundation of multiple independent flood traditions across 4 continents. What made survival possible in each of these cases was not strength or luck. It was the same thing every time. Knowledge of the land, willingness to move, and the ability to hold communities together under conditions of sustained loss. Humans have a long-standing relationship with the sea that spans nearly 200,000 years. Coastlines helped people mediate global shifts between glacial and interglacial conditions and the impact these changes had on local environments. The people who survived were the ones who had not built their entire identity around staying in one place. They were mobile. They read the landscape. They understood that the world was not fixed. Research on prehistoric communities in Britain found that major coastal flooding did not necessarily coincide with the highest rates of sea level rise. One might expect flooding to be followed swiftly by abandonment, but instead the population embraced cultural and behavioral changes. The ability to successfully respond to rising seas was centered around culture, around being able and prepared to change behavior. That sentence deserves a moment. Not tools, not weapons, not physical strength, culture. The communities that survived were the ones that had already built the social structures capable of absorbing catastrophic change, making collective decisions about movement, managing the grief of leaving places that held the bones of their ancestors. The fishermen hauling up bones from the North Sea floor are not finding evidence of failure. They are finding evidence of the opposite. Those people left. They adapted. Their descendants went on to populate Britain and Northern Europe. The bones on the seafloor are what was left behind, not the people themselves. The global flooding that followed the last ice age was the last time that humans experienced climate change at the scale we are talking about now. Sea levels rose by more than 100 meters over the course of several thousand years. Entire continents of coastal habitation were submerged, and the species survived, not because any individual was exceptional, but because the collective knowledge of how to read a changing world, how to move, how to remember, and how to rebuild proved stronger than the water. Every flood story told around every fire in every language across every continent is that knowledge trying to keep itself alive. The land is gone, the warning is not.